The Second Amendment Preservation Act died in the Florida Senate, right on the lap of the President of the Senate, Don Gates. The Second Amendment Preservation Act, what it would have done was essentially nullify all federal gun laws, past, present, and future, by prohibiting the state of Florida from using our state resources to enforce federal law. And it pits some interesting parties against each other. The NRA was against it. Now that it has died, I think it has shined light on who is in favor of states telling the federal government, get your boot off of our necks. We're going to talk about the 10th Amendment, the Second Amendment, and what you and I can do in the future to strengthen our position with the federal government. The 10th Amendment to the Constitution reads, "The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively, or to the people." What does that mean? That means when the states created the federal government, the people delegated to the states certain powers, limited powers, few and defined. And the powers not given in this Constitution by the people, the federal government does not possess. And all other powers are reserved to the states and the people. I like to start at the beginning of the story. I like to say that we got our rights from God, and the government got its powers from the people. And we can no more endow each other with rights than the government can give itself more power. The 10th Amendment to the Constitution tells the federal government that there's a relationship here, and you're not supreme. Many people point to the 6th article of the Constitution, the Supremacy Clause. I was watching a news show just the other day, and the reporter says, hey, the federal laws are supreme over the state laws. That's not what it says. What Article 6 says in the Constitution is that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and all laws and acts made by the Congress must be in pursuance thereof. In other words, if it's not in here, the federal government doesn't have that power. And if it violates any part of this Constitution, the federal government doesn't have that power. Now, this supreme law of the land was ratified in 1787. 4 years later, we got the Bill of Rights, the next 10 amendments to the Constitution. And we've been talking a lot about the Second Amendment, the right of the people to keep and bear arms. And that is what we've been trying to protect with the Second Amendment Preservation Act. And it would have been a big deal. But unfortunately, it died on the lap of Senate President Don Gates, who was iron-fisted against it. I can imagine Don Gates like Don Corleone, and he's got a horse head in his lap, and that's the Second Amendment Preservation Act. Not one out of 40 senators would sponsor that companion bill. And I'm going to tell you why in just a minute.
The Burnie Thompson Show Whiskey Rebellion is brought to you by
Panama City Barbershop, where I get my hair cut. A traditional barbershop, not a beauty salon. By the Water Tower on Highway 231. Shore House Furniture, the largest showroom for coastal and fine furniture on the beach. On Back Beach Road, about a mile east of Pier Park. Mace Tech, encrypt your data before it goes online to make sure nobody else sees it. MaceTechSolutions.com.
Hi, I'm Darrell Day.
And I'm Burnie Thompson.
You know, we both proudly served our nation in uniform.
And we still serve today on the radio, expanding freedom and protecting the family budget.
And using the airwaves to educate, enlighten, and entertain, and sometimes irritate.
So join us every day and link arms, and let's do our part to restore this republic.
Join me each morning, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
And join me from 11 to 2 on Talk Radio 101.
Hi, I'm Jay.
And I'm Katie.
Is your check engine light on?
At Gears, we will check it for free.
Don't pay for a diagnostics.
At Gears, we will check it for free.
Transmission services for $49.95.
Free shuttle service in our Gears limo.
Come let my daddy fix your car.
If you need your car worked on, take it where I get my car worked on. Gears Transmissions, whether it's your engine, your brakes, or a $49 transmission special, Gears Transmissions will take care of you. And you know you're never going to get upsold, you're never going to get swindled, and you'll get to meet my friend Jay, my good friend Jay, who, by the way, if you like what we're doing here on the Whiskey Rebellion, this is part of Gears Productions. Gears Transmissions you can find online at gearstransmissions.com or in Panama City near the mall, just about a mile up 231 toward Interstate 10. On your left, it's right by the Dollar General. The federal government thinks it's the boss. It's not the boss. Do you know, in the late 1990s, there was a famous Supreme Court case. There was an Arizona sheriff by the name of Sheriff Mack. And Sheriff Mack was told that he had to use county resources in order to enforce the federal Brady bill. And Sheriff Mack said, I am the highest elected constable in this county, and I refuse to use our resources to enforce an anti-constitutional federal act. Well, it went to the Supreme Court, and essentially, Sheriff Richard Mack defeated the Clinton administration. And what that established even more clearly than what we already had in the Constitution and in previous cases was this: the anti-commandeering doctrine. What's that? That says that the federal government cannot commandeer state resources to enforce federal laws that are anti-constitutional. As a matter of fact, no federal laws. And that is a very important principle, the Anti-Commandeering Act. Even in Obamacare itself, which is anti-constitutional in itself, but even in there is Supreme Court precedent, there is case law that also establishes the anti-commandeering doctrine. And that is very, very important for us to realize, that the federal government cannot force states, cannot force cities or counties to enforce the federal laws. And what you're seeing across the country right now with an overreaching federal government is states doing that very thing. And they're using the anti-commandeering doctrine to stand athwart Obamacare, to stand athwart gun control laws, whether it's edicts from on high, from Barack Obama, or Eric Holder, the Attorney General, who wants to, quote, brainwash the American people about how it thinks about guns. Even with education and Common Core, states do not have to do this. And you're seeing, even in Missouri is passing through its legislature the Second Amendment Preservation Act, which we couldn't do here. And why could we not do it in the great state of Florida that has so many strong gun laws? Well, the NRA was opposed to the Second Amendment Preservation Act, which did die. There were sponsors in the House, and you're not going to believe what they're saying now, but nobody in the Senate would sponsor a companion bill. So it died right there on the lap of Senator Don Corleone Gates, who said, you better not support this, along with the NRA. Don Gates and the NRA, they killed the Second Amendment Preservation Act. And why is it that in the state of Florida, run by Republicans, our legislature could not support the Second Amendment Preservation Act? Well, there is a very powerful lobbyist in the Florida NRA. Her name is Marion Hammer. She's a Democrat, and she goes around and tells Republicans in the House in Florida and in the Senate in Florida what they can and cannot do. How powerful is she? Well, let me tell you. Even the bill's sponsor, Dane Eagle, Representative Dane Eagle, when this died, he wrote a letter to the Florida 10th Amendment Center. And here's what he said. It is also signed by Representative Matt Caldwell, Representative Heather Fitzenhagen, and Representative Ray Rodriguez. And they wrote it to the Florida 10th Amendment Center. We penned this letter with great disappointment, as the purpose is to inform you that the Second Amendment Preservation Act, HB 733, has been withdrawn. And the reason they withdrew it, here's what they said. The tactics and methods used by many grassroots supporters of this bill unfortunately created an air of suspicion within the Capitol. Suspicion that some advocates care less about the Second Amendment and more about causing divisions among like-minded people. Now, I got to tell you, I went to the state capitol and I walked through the halls Thursday, the day before the Second Amendment preservation died in the Senate. And I don't know how you can find an air of suspicion in the Capitol when there were no legislators in the Capitol. They've been back in their districts. But I'll tell you where there is an air of suspicion: in the Liberty Lounge. I suspect that Florida Republicans in the House and in the Senate were more worried about what the NRA said, led by Marion Hammer, who is a Democrat. They told them, you better not sponsor the Second Amendment Preservation Act. Why? Because the NRA, even though it does so much great work, they are not a lobbying group for the Second Amendment. They are a lobbying group for pro-gun laws, and they fight gun control laws out of Washington. But by doing that, the NRA acknowledges that Washington has a power that it does not have. Remember, if it's not in the Constitution, the federal government does not have that power. Those powers are reserved to the states and to the people, as stated in the 10th Amendment. The letter goes on. So this is from the author of HB 733. This is from the sponsors of the Second Amendment Preservation Act. After it died, why did it die? Well, they laid the blame directly on us, on grassroots supporters, not on Don Gates, the president of the Senate, not on the NRA, on you and me and a few others. And here's what they said: we will no longer allow our names to be attached to a bill that has been used as a vehicle to attack and create division among our allies. And it goes on. They even call a debate about this. They say, look, we agree that the Second Amendment gives us the right to keep and bear arms. Rather, it protects the right God gave us. However, it would be infantile to suggest that this is not a debatable position. Infantile? To suggest that the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed? That's not up for debate. But what we learned through this process was very enlightening, that the NRA, led by a Democrat, Marion Hammer, in the Florida House and the Florida Senate, could scare the ever-living out of legislators. But I've got an idea. I've got an idea of how you and I can protect our rights, our Second Amendment rights, against the federal government this coming year.
The Burnie Thompson Show Whiskey Rebellion is brought to you by
Panama City Barbershop, where I get my hair cut. A traditional barbershop, not a beauty salon. By the Water Tower on Highway 231. Shore House Furniture, the largest showroom for coastal and fine furniture on the beach. On Back Beach Road, about a mile east of Pier Park. Mace Tech. Encrypt your data before it goes online to make sure nobody else sees it. MaceTechSolutions.com.
Hi, I'm Jay.
And I'm Katie. At Gears, we're proud to offer you a complete transmission service starting at $49.95.
We also offer free shuttle service in our Gears limo.
Lifetime warranties.
Transmission services for $49.95.
Come let my daddy fix your car.
Hi, I'm Daryl Day.
And I'm Burnie Thompson.
You know, we both proudly served our nation in uniform.
And we still serve today on the radio, expanding freedom and protecting the family budget.
And using the airwaves to educate, enlighten, and entertain, and sometimes irritate.
So join us every day and link arms, and let's do our part to restore this republic.
Join me each morning, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
And join me from 11 to 2 on Talk Radio 101. Let's expand freedom and protect the family budget. You and me, right here every week. And if you like what we're doing, drop me a line at myfreedomradio.com. That's where you can email me and let me know your thoughts. On The Burnie Thompson Show, a Gears production. We had a chance to do it. Missouri did it. Many other states are doing it. Everybody's doing it. Even the fish in the privacy of their bowl are doing it. But we didn't do it in the state of Florida. And we could have done it. We could have nullified an overreaching federal government that has way too much power over the states and to the people, telling us what we can and cannot do with regard to our educations, with regard to our doctors, with regard to defending ourselves with the best means necessary. And for many of us, that's guns. Why couldn't we do it? It's so frustrating. It is because we have learned with the death of the Second Amendment Preservation Act in the state capitol that our capitol, our legislature, is made up mostly of what I call federal supremacists, state representatives and state senators that believe the federal government is supreme. Do you know that I have had conversations with Don Gates, the president of the Senate, and he tells me that, look, it's Obamacare, for example, it is the law of the land. All three branches of government agreed that it's the law of the land. You know what? That doesn't prove anything. All that proves is that the three branches of government colluded against you and me. And Mr. President of the Senate, Don Gates, it is your responsibility and your duty, it is your time in the world while you're the president of the Senate to stand against the federal government, and you had that chance. And the reason that I'm so disappointed, and I got a feeling I won't be getting invited to those parties much more, but that's okay. Somebody's got to stand for this. And if it's not you, Don Gates, then who? There was support in the House, but none of the 40 senators would support it because of you and because of Marion Hammer, the head lobbyist of the NRA, who, by the way, is a Democrat, and she goes around there and scares the ever-living out of the Republicans, telling them, you better not sign on to this bill or you're going to get a bad rating by the NRA. Well, we had a chance to do it, and we didn't do it. Instead, it died. Now, the 10th Amendment, as I said earlier, what it does is it wasn't even necessary. Did you know that? The 10th Amendment wasn't even necessary. It didn't bring anything new. In fact, the 1931 Supreme Court case said that. But you know what it did? It reaffirmed that the states are not subjugated to the federal government. As a matter of fact, the states created the federal government. The states are like Dr. Frankenstein, and the federal government is like the monster. And right now, that monster is out of control. Have you ever seen the movie from that same year, 1931, Frankenstein? I'm telling you, the federal government's out of control. And that little girl sitting by that lake, we got to save her. It's about time we chase Frankenstein back up that windmill. And we can do that with things like the Second Amendment Preservation Act, which tell the federal government, we're not going to resist you, but we're not going to assist you either. You are not going to commandeer our state resources and have us enforce your federal laws. The Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms, shall not be infringed. That means you too, Barack Obama and Eric Holder, you cannot issue edicts from on high. Laws are supposed to come out of the Congress, and they don't have the authority to infringe on our rights to keep and bear arms. Now, it's interesting with Eric Holder. Do you know that he is the only sitting cabinet member in the history of the United States to be convicted of contempt of Congress? And do you know what? It would be the duty of House Republicans to impeach Eric Holder, and they are not doing the most basic job of holding these guys accountable. And that is why I'm most disappointed in Republicans, as a matter of fact. The Republicans in the House, when I spoke to Judge Napolitano recently on our radio show, Judge Napolitano, I said, I feel like the federal government it's not going to fix itself. It's up to the states, isn't it? And he made a very good point. Judge Napolitano said the House could do something about it. You see, the House holds the purse strings. If the House doesn't want to fund TSA, for example, or Homeland Security, or NSA, the spying arm, we now have a White House that spies on every single American, to include the Congress, to include the press, and to include the people. Now, there was a time where that wouldn't be tolerated. And do you know that we came within about 6 or 7 votes in the House of Reprehensibles in Washington, in the House of Representatives in Washington, D.C. We came within about 6 votes of defunding the NSA and its spying program on the American people by about 40%. But we didn't have enough courageous Republicans to do that. And, by the way, you want bipartisanship. That was a real bipartisan effort. It was led by Justin Amash, a small government Republican, and John Cornyn, a big government Democrat, but both understand that the White House has no business spying on Americans. The House could have done something about that. Likewise, Republicans in the state of Florida could have done something about an overreaching federal government, and it could have done it by nullifying past, present, and future gun laws. It didn't do it. So what does that tell us? It tells us that we shouldn't wait around for the state legislature. I'm getting a little fed up with begging legislators to do the right thing. Oh, they're very courageous when it comes to the Pop-Tart bill. Oh, yeah, they have a Pop-Tart gun bill so that the next boy that makes a Pop-Tart into a gun doesn't get in trouble. Is that important? Yeah. But wouldn't you rather them use their valuable resources to tell the federal government that we're not going to enforce your laws? We are going to not allow you to commandeer our state resources for your federal laws? That is why next year, let's not wait for the legislature to do it. We know they're not going to do it. We know they're beholden to the lobbyists now to include the NRA. We know that they've got leadership that is not going to allow them to do the right thing because they're not willing to stand up against it. So what can you and I do? I'll tell you, we can go around them. We can get enough Floridian voters to sign a petition, and within 75 words, we can write our own Second Amendment Preservation Act, and we can get it on the ballot. And when the state Supreme Court says, yep, 75 words, all right, all we need is 60% of the votes. If we can't get 60% of Floridian voters to vote for the Second Amendment, what can we get?
The Burnie Thompson Show Whiskey Rebellion is brought to you by
Panama City Barbershop, where I get my hair cut. A traditional barbershop, not a beauty salon. By the Water Tower on Highway 231. Shore House Furniture, the largest showroom for coastal and fine furniture on the beach. On Back Beach Road, about a mile east of Pier Park. Mace Tech, encrypt your data before it goes online to make sure nobody else sees it. MaceTechSolutions.com.
Hi, I'm Daryl Day.
And I'm Burnie Thompson.
You know, we both proudly served our nation in uniform.
And we still serve today on the radio, expanding freedom and protecting the family budget.
And using the airwaves to educate, enlighten, and entertain, and sometimes irritate.
So join us every day and link arms, and let's do our part to restore this republic.
Join me each morning, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
And join me from 11 to 2 on Talk Radio 101.
Hi, I'm Jay.
And I'm Katie.
Is your check engine light on?
At Gears, we will check it for free.
Don't pay for a diagnostics.
At Gears, we will check it for free.
Transmission services for $49.95.
Free shuttle service in our Gears limo.
Come let my daddy fix your car.
If you need your car worked on, take it where I get my car worked on. Gears Transmissions, whether it's your engine, your brakes, or a $49 transmission special, Gears Transmissions will take care of you. And you know you're never going to get upsold, you're never going to get swindled, and you'll get to meet my friend Jay. My good friend Jay, who, by the way, if you like what we're doing here on the Whiskey Rebellion, this is part of Gears Productions. Gears Transmissions you can find online at gearstransmissions.com or in Panama City near the mall, just about a mile up 231 toward Interstate 10. On your left, it's right by the Dollar General. It looks like we're going to have to do it ourselves if we want to do what other states are doing, and that is tell the federal government to step back. You don't get to rule our lives. You don't rule over us. As states, if it is not in this Constitution, we are telling the federal government, you don't have the authority to make us do it. And I'm looking at, I want to tell you, though, what a tough climb that's going to be if we leave it up to the Florida legislature. Even the author of the Second Amendment Preservation Act, he must have been flogged because now he's apologizing for doing such a thing. And he's blaming people like you and me. He's blaming the grassroots. This is a letter written to the Florida 10th Amendment Center. And in this letter, He says that many of the advocates for the Second Amendment Preservation Act, quote, created an air of suspicion within the Capitol. Suspicion that some advocates care less about the Second Amendment than they do causing divisions among like-minded people. Listen, I don't know how there could have been an air of suspicion in the Capitol. There was nobody there when the citizens walked through looking for the legislators. But the NRA and Don Gates, the President of the Senate, if there is an air of suspicion in the Capitol, I'm telling you, it's the people. We are suspicious of you. You gotta imagine how much pull the NRA has, how much power the President of the Senate has, when over in the House, the guy who drafted the bill is writing a letter saying, I'm sorry, and then going to say, changing the dynamic between the relationship of the federal government and the state governments will require the conversion of our friends and neighbors with sweet words of collegiality, not the rude hammer and coercion of state powers. Well, let me tell you something. I'm getting a little tired of asking please. I'm getting a little tired of asking any politician or any bureaucrat, please respect the rights that God gave us. And let me tell you this, Representative Dane Eagle and the rest of you who penned this letter, we do not use the rude hammer of coercion by state power. You do. You're in the legislature. You're the government. All we can do is what we're going to do next year, and that is not wait around for you. I'm telling you, we have an opportunity. It is our time in the world. We can petition for signatures. We can write a state amendment to the Constitution, and we can tell the federal government to step back. We don't need you in the state legislature. And one thing we learned with the Second Amendment Preservation Act is we can't count on you. I'm Burnie Thompson. Thanks for watching.
The Burnie Thompson Show Whiskey Rebellion is brought to you by
Panama City Barbershop, where I get my hair cut. A traditional barbershop, not a beauty salon. By the Water Tower on Highway 231. Shore House Furniture, the largest showroom for coastal and fine furniture on the beach. On Back Beach Road, about a mile east of Pier Park. Mace Tech. Encrypt your data before it goes online to make sure nobody else sees it. MaceTechSolutions.com.
Let's expand freedom and protect the family budget. You and me, right here every week on The Burnie Thompson Show, a Gears production.